What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the certifiably suave Dr. Disaster, and generally speaking, if a game journalist doesn't like something about a game, you can just about be rest assured that it's probably pretty awesome.
No, sir, I don't like it. That sounds good. I'll have that.
Case in point, we've got PC Gamer here, taking time out of their busy schedule, whining about sexism and homophobia, to tell us that they don't care for the turn-based combat in Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Now this is a game which happens to be among my most anticipated of the year, because it has been described as very similar to Final Fantasy X in the way that it plays, and that's one of my favorite games from arguably my favorite game genre. So, if it bears a passing resemblance, this is going to be a game that has a great chance of taking on the modern gaming slop that has proliferated the industry for the past few years and acquitting itself nicely.
Yo, she-bitch. Let's go.
But there's a reason that PC Gamer is complaining about this game. You've got to think, though, if the game was incessantly talking about gender identity crap, or if it featured your typical girl boss main character with the side of her head shaved, you just know that these guys at PC Gamer would never be able to stop praising it. But this is clearly a game made for its actual target audience, people who simply like immersive RPGs. On a similar note, Square Enix could really learn a thing or two from this game from the looks of things. If Square spent less time going on about making a game for a global audience, as the director of FF7 Rebirth said in a recent interview, maybe modern Final Fantasy games would stop being so underwhelming.
Disappointed!
As we discussed the other day, Square Enix is no longer worried about making games with a Japanese market in mind, which is damaging to the overall health of the JRPG genre, but it's nice to see that there's at least someone out in the gaming world willing to put together a game in a similar vein to what we used to love about those old JRPGs. This isn't a JRPG, the developers are from France, but anyhow, the numbers for Clair Obscur Expedition 33 are looking pretty healthy already. The game doesn't release until the end of April, over a month and a half away, and they are already in the top 100 bestsellers on the Steam charts, with going on 40,000 followers, and they are the number 45 most wishlisted game. Meanwhile, for reference, Assassin's Creed Shadows, which comes out in a little over 2 weeks, that game still hasn't hit 24,000 followers on Steam, and it's only selling marginally better than Clair Obscur, and actually, it isn't as high on the wish list as Clair Obscur. So yeah, gamers clearly like what they are seeing from Clair Obscur Expedition 33, making it seem like this might be the next great RPG franchise, which likely has the PC Gamer journalists going.
Why would you think that? Why would you even think that?
Alright, me hearties, make sure you hit the like button on this video to drive away the evil algorithm monster, share it with your friends if you haven't already, and don't forget to follow me over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster 1. But alright, this game looks amazing, and I really wanted to share it with everyone in case you haven't heard of it yet. The premise of the story is super interesting. Basically, you play as a group of doomed heroes who are sent on something of a suicidal mission in order to stop the villain, the Paintress from wiping out humanity. You see, every year, the Paintress paints a new number, and everyone who is that age disappears and dies. The number that she writes isn't random, it is a countdown, so basically this will cause the extinction of the people affected by this, eventually. But every year, an expedition is sent out consisting of people of the proper age who will be killed by the Paintress. Their task is to find her and put a stop to her, but of course, nobody has been able to figure out how to do that. The combat for the game is described as very similar to Final Fantasy X, and in fact, the world that you traverse is described as very similar to one of the classic Final Fantasy games as well, being fairly linear and putting a premium on storytelling over exploration, which is frankly right up my alley. So, as a massive fan of those retro Final Fantasy titles, I am very drawn to this game's potential. But of course, one of the few times I find myself very excited about a game, some of these game journalists seem to have rediscovered their ability to criticize. Normally, these dingleberries would clap like trained seals at anything being put out by the industry because they want early and exclusive access to the AAA studios. But Clair Obscur is developed by a relatively unknown studio called Sandfall Interactive, and since the game isn't pushing any of the progressive political crap that the game journalists have to automatically support as a rule, in other words, this isn't a game that send out a series of virtue signals to show these game journalists that they're on the same side against the chuds. But since the studio hasn't done that, at least not yet, PC Gamer apparently felt they needed to be nitpicky as hell. Keep in mind, they love the likes of Dustborn, as you can see here, and they loved Dragon Age the Veilguard. Those games are solid to them, but these people hate Clair Obscur, as you can see from the headline here. Let's read an excerpt from the article though, just to get an idea as to what the problems with the game supposedly are. It says, "The game looks great, the mechanics are great, I should dig this, but I don't. It all comes down to the real-time stuff, which is so much more overt than it is in Persona. Every attack can be dodged and parried, and some can be jumped, and it feels like Clair Obscur expects you to nail this nearly every time. Enemies hit hard, and with very limited healing, at least at this point, taking damage isn't something you can just shrug off. But I really struggled to nail the timing. It often feels like enemy attacks are specifically designed to catch you out. Like, it looks like a giant fist is going to come crashing down on you, so you dodge, only to discover that the monster is still just winding up. Lots of attacks force you to dodge or parry multiple times too, and in the case of a parry, missing one means that you won't be able to hit them back. So basically, it just sounds like this is someone whining about the difficulty level of a game, and rather than admit that, hey, actually I suck at this, but if you don't, you might enjoy it, which is something that I personally admit to with Souls-like games. Those are simply not my forte, but I recognize why some people think they're fun. Anyhow, rather than tell the world that this is a game that a lot of people will enjoy, they put right in the headline here that this is a game that the writer hates. They'd never have the balls to do that with a BioWare game, or Ubisoft, or Square Enix, or any of these big name studios. It's only with these little guys that they feel any level of comfort being critical. And I'll say this, the combat, as it is described, definitely sounds like something that wouldn't be for everyone. Some people may not like it, but once again, if this was an article for Dragon Age the Veilguard, if that game had the exact same mechanics as this one, but it was still steeped in all of the weird, progressive gender identity shit that got the game shit-canned right onto PS Plus a few months after its release, if that game had these mechanics, PC gamer would be telling us how awesome and universally loved such a set of mechanics will be. No matter how much we are exposed to it, the blatant favoritism and hypocrisy on display from game journalists is jarring. As for me, I am impatiently waiting for some good reviews that I can trust, but at the moment, this is a title very high on my list of most anticipated. In any event, I'm gonna leave it there though. What do you think about this game? Drop your thoughts into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching me, Hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.